We're going to rock and roll today. So, what I'm actually going to go over today is how to get the highest return on ad spend in 2025 using my ads ecosystem. And this is what the actual ecosystem looks like. Okay. Now, don't worry, I'm going to go way in depth over what each of these moving parts are and how it actually relates to you. I just wanted to give you guys an overall view, right? A 30,000-foot view zoomed out of what my ads ecosystem actually looks like. Some of you guys should only be doing a part of this ecosystem. Some of you guys should be doing the entire thing. And in this training, I'm going to make sure that everyone understands where they should be when it comes to launching these 5 campaigns. Okay. Now, I'm going to address the elephant in the room because this is something that confuses most people when they're new to my ecosystem. If you guys take note of the green, it makes an L, right, for Laurel. That's my ecosystem, okay? A lot of people think that my ads ecosystem replaces a funnel. It does not. The ads ecosystem is actually built around a funnel. Now, what type of funnel you should be using, we're going to cover that in depth as well today, okay? Let's actually get some principles out of the way before we get into anything, okay? Because you guys have probably noticed it is harder than ever to get results. And right now, I would say the number one reason that it's so hard to get results is because AI is creating so much noise, right? We not only have AI taking the place of having real conversations with people, we also have AI writing a lot of the content that you see online, right? Have you guys ever gone through your news feed and you're like, oh my God, this is literally all AI generated content. Does anyone have an original thought anymore? Right? Have you ever watched a video and you're like, I kind of think this video is made with AI, right? AI is creating so much noise that people are kind of getting turned off by their news feeds because they're like, there's not any original content. And so we're going to talk about how you can actually take advantage of what's going on right now. Okay. So AI, one of the number one reasons why it's super hard to get results right now. Number two is chauffeur versus plank knowledge. Let me explain. Okay. So my mentor, Nick Peterson, if you see him inside the Facebook group, or if you are lucky enough to attend one of the Zoom coaching calls that Nick is coaching on the call with me, he's been my mentor for over 5 years now. Me and Nick just celebrated our 5 years of working together. And there's a reason that I work with Nick Peterson. He's not an internet marketer. He's someone who has built multiple businesses, and he's very principle based. And one of the very best analogies that he gave me over what's going on right now is this chauffeur versus plank knowledge. Okay. So there was a guy named Planck. He's a Nobel Prize winning physicist. And he had a ton of cities that he was driving around and going and presenting these huge talks, large audiences, right? And he had a chauffeur. And after a couple of dozen shows, the chauffeur turns around and says, hey, I bet you at the next event, I could deliver your speech just as good as you. And the physicist says, okay, cool. Let's switch spots at the next event. I'll drive you there and you can go and deliver my speech. And sure enough, the chauffeur delivers the speech just as good, if not better, than the Nobel Prize winning physicist. The audience starts clapping and hooting and hollering, and they start asking a ton of questions. And he turns to the audience and says, I have to defer to my chauffeur to answer those questions. What does that tell us about what's going on right now, right? If I do a video on YouTube, there is nothing that stops some punk young 22-year bro marketer from ripping off my content and going in and delivering it to an audience of people who actually will believe what he says, right? And so Right now, your audience is trying to decipher whether or not you are an expert or whether you're just another chauffeur. Because you have to remember, because of AI, it is so easy for someone to literally go and pull one of my YouTube videos, get AI to transcribe it, and get AI to write them a new video. They can actually, this technology is there to where they can then input that script into a software like HeyGen, and it could actually create them saying it in a video without them actually saying it. That is how AI is advanced right now. And so there's a lot of things that are going on that we're going to have to start paying attention to if we want to get results going into 2025. Okay. Now, on today's training, I'm going to tell you guys everything that you can do in order to stand out because it is getting really, really hard. Okay. Number 3 touches on a little bit of what we just talked about, right? Think about this. Most of the people that you're marketing to have already invested in someone like you who promised them the world and they dropped the ball. Right now, how many of you guys are sitting in this room right now because you have already bought some type of ad program and you still aren't any further along on ads than you were a year ago, right? A lot of you guys are sitting in the room because someone promised you that you were going to get results if you just ran that webinar, if you just spent $5,000 on ads, if you built that slow funnel, if you did this, you will get X results. So you have to think about this, right? A lot of your audience is sitting in that same position. They're trying to determine whether Kathy or whether Bill or Anna, is this the real deal this time? Or is this person just copying someone else's content and doesn't actually know? Okay. Again, in this workshop, I'm going to show you guys how to actually conquer that entire thing and have a great position to be in for 2025. And number 4, rising ad costs, especially right now during the election, right? A lot of the candidates are scooping up that ad spend, but you should never stop your ads because of that. And so what you're going to learn on this workshop is why running my ecosystem, even in times where there are rising ad costs, is going to benefit you and make you a lot of money in the end. As a matter of fact, because of the way that my ecosystem runs, you're going to be able to keep your ad cost at a minimum. When every other person is doubling down on their ad spend, you're going to see more consistency with the same ad spend, as long as you're consistent over what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Now, your data, super important. And I cannot stress this enough. And this is why when people go into the Facebook group and they ask questions like, hey, is anyone else here a fitness coach? What are you seeing with Laurel strategy? I don't even approve those types of posts anymore because of this right here, because simply funnel hacking doesn't work. Okay. So what I know that students are asking when they go into my Facebook group and they post those kinds of questions is, I want to copy exactly what you're doing because what you're doing is apparently working. But there's a danger to doing that because here's the thing. Let's just pretend that we'll go with Stephanie Winger and Kathy Griffin, right? Let's just pretend that both of those women are in the fitness space. Let's say that both of them are promoting weight loss for women over 50, right? Let's just pretend. If you look at Kathy and you look at Stephanie, right? They both have their cameras on. They are 2 different women who present themselves very differently. If you look at me and someone like Amy Porterfield, we both sell the pretty much the same thing, but present ourselves online very different. Okay. The way that an audience is going to receive you versus someone else is going to determine how successful your funnel is. I have 2 brand new Lean on Laurel students. One is running a webinar to CEO dads who want to lose their dad bod. The other one is losing it to, is promoting their offer to dads who have their own business and want to lose their dad bod. Almost the same exact offer, almost the same exact audience. Their webinars perform very different. The guy who's promoting the CEO, he presents himself. He always shows up in like a suit online. He shows up in the gym. He even has a video where he's wearing a suit in his gym in the gym as he's working out because he's like, "Hey, I get it. Like, look at me. So half the time I'm working out like this, right?" The other one likes doing videos from his home gym. He likes shooting them on his phone. It's just two different presentations of the exact same offer. Yet one books calls at twice the ad spend that the other one does because of the way that their audience is actually reacting to that. And so that's why funnel hacking doesn't work. If I run a webinar to an ad campaign, right? Like if I'm like, okay, here's how to launch my ad strategy, and Dan Henry goes and launches the exact same thing, who do you think is going to get better results? Even if I funnel hack Dan Henry is going to get far better results than I do because he's got a much larger audience than I do. And so that's why I don't allow people to ask questions like that, because your data is what's important. You know, so many people take advice from people who are like, that will never work. Well, what evidence do you have that tells you that doesn't work? I get students all the time, well, my coach says that won't work. I'm like, show me the evidence that says that won't work. I had a student who came in a couple of months ago into LOL, and his coach told him that my DM strategy would never work because of the audience that he was launching those ads to. And so he was forcing him to do a VSL to his offer. I said, show me the evidence that you've ran a DM campaign and that didn't work. A couple of weeks later, he came back and he was like, okay, cool. I just closed my first 4 clients using your DM strategy and I just dumped my VSL. Evidence over what anyone tells you. Okay. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff with very low ad budgets, contrary to what a lot of people will tell you. Okay. So I just told you guys a lot of the complications that we're going to have going into 2025. Here's how to win, okay? Because opportunities are yours for the taking. I know that I just told you that AI is consuming the news feed. People are saturating the market with crappy offers, but guess what, guys? There's a lot of opportunity here because people are looking for people like us who are willing to do just a little bit more work. When everyone's trying to shortcut doing videos with AI, getting AI to write all their content, getting AI to follow up with people in Messenger. They're trying to shortcut the 2 most important things that are actually going to be the most relevant going into 2025. And so you guys are going to be able to take advantage of this, okay? So number 1, video, okay? There's no way to get around this. I'm telling you, if you do not figure out how to do video, video is the thing that will set you apart from everyone else, right? The fact that I get on Zoom with my audience a lot, I do over the shoulder videos. I'm not just sitting there doing talking head how-to videos. I'm in the trenches. I'm showing people, here's what I'm doing. Okay. So video, number 1 way that you're going to stand out from your competition. Okay. Now, here's the thing, short form versus long form. I know short form, guys, is much easier. Here's the reality, though. We need both. And you'll see that my ecosystem is actually filled with both short form videos and long form videos. But we have to strategically use them in a way that is actually going to get us what we want. Because here's the deal. A lot of people do short form video with the perception of using it as a top of funnel strategy that's going to deliver long form video views. And I have a ton of data from not only my YouTube channel, but also from my clients' YouTube channel. 9 times out of 10, short form video viewers do not turn into long form video viewers. They don't. And a lot of times they don't turn into conversions. But I have created a strategic way to actually capitalize on the short form video content in a slightly different way, right? Even Alex Harmozy did an entire video that broke down how his short form content didn't actually lead to long form video content, and they didn't lead to more customers. They did lead to more views, but views don't matter whenever you're comparing views to conversions. As a matter of fact, most of my videos on my YouTube channel that have the lowest amount of views have the highest conversion rate. Think about that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to leverage video. We're going to leverage short form video and we're going to leverage long form video, right? I'm going to leave you guys with this on this video thing, right? A lot of people are like, well, Alex Hormozi does short form videos. I'm like, yeah, but Alex Hormozi also says that he has nothing to sell you. Unless you're trying to just do brand awareness and rack up a whole bunch of views, would that strategy probably be the best for you? No. But like I said, I have found a way to capitalize on that short form trend that is actually going to get you closer to what you want. Number 2, learn how to solve problems and have more conversations. Hands down, these 2 things right here, video and solving problems, are going to be the key to you winning in 2025. And we're going to capitalize on a very low budget ad strategy in order to do that. Now, here's the thing, okay? A lot of people confuse solving problems with actually helping people. Let me give you an example. 9 times out of 10, when I ask my students, what problem do you solve? The first thing they want to do is they want to spew their value proposition that they wrote with a coach to me. I'm like, hey, Kathy, what problem do you solve? And she's like, well, I help women lose. I'm like, no, that's what you do. That's not the problem that you solve. And so we need to learn how to identify specific problems that we solve for our clients, right? My value proposition is I help people who are making 2 to 3 times their return on ad spend get 30 to 40 times their return on ad spend using this ecosystem. That's what I do. The problem that I solve is that VSL funnels are not breaking even. You see the difference, right? And so a lot of you guys haven't developed the skill to be able to identify your audience's real problems. And so if you find that your content is not meeting the mark of the KPIs, it's because you're not solving the right problem or you're not presenting your solution in the right way. The only way to figure out your data is by having conversations. And so this ecosystem actually utilizes video content that solves problems that leads to conversations, right? Because conversations are the fastest path to cash. That's my whole macro belief, is that conversations are the fastest path to cash. And so the way that we're going to utilize this ads ecosystem is to utilize video campaigns that solve our ideal audience's problems that will lead to more conversations. Number 3, we have to, in those conversations, we have to convince people that this time will be different. Because remember what we were talking about a while ago, there are so many people who are watching your content and they're like, I don't know if Kathy is going to help me because I've already invested in 2 other coaches just like Kathy. How will this time be different? Right? I'll give you guys a really great example of this, and it is in an exercise that eventually you guys will get to. If you haven't gotten to it yet, that's okay. Just keep going through the program. But there's an exercise that my mentor teaches called stealth influence. This is an exercise that is built to show people how this time will be different. I oftentimes use the example of one of the fitness clients who was having issues closing people over the phone. And he's like busting objection after objection after objection for this mom who wants to lose the last 10 pounds of her baby weight. And she keeps saying that she doesn't have time. And here's the problem with busting objections, right? So let's say that this salesperson is helping this fitness coach bust all of these objections with this mom, right? And he's like, you deserve to spend money on yourself. You deserve this. You don't have time, then it must not be important to you. Every person whose weight loss is important, like, and he just keeps hammering those objection busters from that sales script, right? What do you think is going to happen the first time that the mom leaves to go to the gym? and her kid comes in screaming and crying and says, "Mommy, please don't go. Please don't go." She's not going to go to the gym, right? And one of two things are going to happen. One, she's not going to get results with the program. Or two, she's going to be like, "I really don't have time for this." And she's going to ask for a refund. Both are very negative to the very program that fitness coach is selling, right? But if this fitness coach tells the story of another client in a piece of video and says, "Hey, most moms who work with me say they don't have time to go to the gym. And the reason that they say they don't have time to go to the gym is actually not because they don't have time. It's because their child kicks and screams and cries and says, 'Mommy, please don't go.' And so the mother is full of guilt. But here's how I do this with my clients. What I do with my clients is I have them take their kid into the gym on their first day. And I ask the kid, 'Would you like mommy to have 10 extra hours every single week in order to spend time with you and play? What's your favorite game, kid?' And the kid tells them hide and seek. 'Well, how would you like mommy to play an extra 10 hours of hide and seek with you every single week?' And the kid gets really excited and says, 'Okay, here's the deal. Your mommy is going to have to spend a lot of time with me here at the gym. But I promise you, if you can just wait for 2 months, I'm gonna give you a mom that's gonna play with you so much. You're gonna have so much time spent with your mom. You're gonna play games. How does that sound?' And so, what do you think is gonna happen with that piece of video? What have we just done with that piece of content right there? We have proven to the people who are watching that this time will be different. And we've told them why this time will be different. We've told them how this fitness coach gives people a different experience because he's actually hitting the false beliefs versus the objection. Does that make sense to everybody? That is what we need to portray in our content. How are we going to promise that this time will be different? That's what people are looking for. You can have the best offer, you can have the best content, but if you cannot prove to your audience that this time will be different, we've lost them. Okay. Number 4 is by running my ads ecosystem. And this is what we're actually going to get into today. Okay. But I think it would have been a disservice if we didn't go over the problems and how you can actually overcome them, because my ads ecosystem literally helps you do all 3 of those things that I just talked about. And all 3 of those things are going to be the thing that's going to move the needle for most of you guys who are going to actually execute this. Now, here's the reality. I know there's so many people sitting in this room. Here's the deal. There's only 2 to 3% of you guys who are actually going to execute this. A lot of you guys are just here to consume more content. A lot of you guys won't do anything. But I know that there's a couple of you guys who are actually going to move forward and actually start executing this stuff, and you will win in 2025. Like, I can almost guarantee it. So here's how my ads ecosystem works, okay? Now, remember, if we talk about what I talked about a while ago, is that there are different ways that you can actually run a funnel, okay? Now, when we're talking about cold traffic, campaign number 1 and campaign number 2 are built to generate leads. Okay. Campaign number 1 is built up of goodwill video ads. You're going to hear me say that power content is what I call these video ads. Okay. I'm not going to go into detail about how to put together a power content video and all of that. That's all in the program. But what I need you to understand right now is that campaign number 1 are goodwill video ads. And this is going to build something called the invisible list. Okay. Now, again, the 2 campaigns that we're going to run to cold traffic are built to generate leads, but they're built to generate leads in a very different way. Through the Goodwill video ads, we're going to run video view campaigns, and we're going to create audiences who watch 25% or more of those Goodwill videos. And we're going to build something that I personally call an invisible list. Why do I call it an invisible list? Because video view campaigns are an on-platform action. We can't actually see who is watching those videos, but Facebook and YouTube are actually storing them on the platform. That's why they're called an invisible list. Okay. Now, that's campaign number 1. So we're going to be building a list of invisible leads via video views. On campaign number 2, we're going to be generating physical leads. Now, there's 3 different types of funnels that we use, whether you're in phase 1 of the ecosystem, phase 2 of the ecosystem, or phase 3. Okay. Now, the only thing that I need you to understand right now, because we will go more in depth, is that we're going to run campaign number 1 to generate video views, and campaign number 2 is going to be used to generate physical leads. That is all you need to know right now. Okay. Now, here's how my ads ecosystem works. So let's focus right now on campaign number 2, which is your typical lead gen funnel. Okay. What I'm about to explain is why most funnels fail to yield a profit, especially with rising ad cost. Okay. Let's take a look at this. We can pretend it's a VSL funnel. We can say it's a slow funnel. It does not matter. All you need to know is that there are multiple steps to any type of sales funnel. So if we're using this example right here, let's just say that page number 1 is a landing page that gets people to opt in to watch a VSL. So VSL will be on the second page. And then let's say putting an application in to talk to you is on the third page. This funnel has 3 black holes. The first one is right off the bat, right? Industry standard says 20 to 30% of people will opt in. So if you're sending 1,000 clicks to this landing page, already 800 to 700 people will not move forward. That is by far the biggest black hole in a funnel. The second black hole happens right after you opt in, right? How many of you guys have ever opted in for an ebook or a webinar and you're like, oh, I'll read that later, I'll watch that later, and you never do? I'll raise my hand because I am guilty of the same thing. I put stuff alongside in my bookmark bar and I never get to it. Okay. That's the second biggest black hole. And the last black hole happens after you've watched a webinar, or maybe you haven't completed the webinar and you haven't moved forward. And so what my ads ecosystem is actually built to do, it's built to plug these black holes. Okay. So if we're talking about plugging that first black hole of a landing page, what can we do to get people to, quote, opt in and become a lead another way? Well, we could run video view campaigns to those people, because what? They can become an invisible lead by watching 25% or more. If we take a look at the second black hole, the people who've become a lead, but maybe they haven't watched the VSL, they haven't ingested that ebook, can we do content that will maybe feed that content to them in snack size videos? Is there a way that maybe we can have a conversation and give them the VSL that they need to watch, right? And then the third is people who've actually engaged with your content, whether that's a VSL, maybe that's an ebook, maybe they bought your low ticket offer, but they still haven't ascended to the last thing. We're going to have a group of strategically written content, very similar to the example that I just gave you guys about that fitness coach and the mom. We call this conversion content, and we're going to utilize a campaign that's called the Hot 7. Okay. So here's what this actually looks like. Okay. Now, again, most of you guys are not going to run every single one of these campaigns, and I'm going to show you which of these you should actually run. Okay. So trust the process, because this is the long game. And I say that because I had a new Lean on Laurel student this week. His name is Jared. I love Jared to death. And Jared's only been with me probably for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And Jared launched the Hot 7, right? So the Hot 7 is this right here at the bottom. Because he had been running ads already, he had tens of thousands of people who had already been sitting there. I'm gonna hit up Daryl too, because Daryl just commented in the thing. Daryl, this actually happened to Daryl too. And Daryl, you can confirm this, right? I have students who are already running a lot of traffic. I have them do the hot 7. The reason is because there's already traffic sitting there. But Jared kept hitting me up on Voxer. Laurel, it's been 3 days. I still don't have a booked call. I'm like, Jared, got to be patient. It's a long game, right? We got to be patient. These people, you need to give them time to ingest all of these videos, because the way that I look at any type of retargeting content, I look at it as breadcrumbs, right? If I put an ad in front of you guys and you don't buy my $7 program, but tomorrow when you log in, you see my beautiful face in your newsfeed, and I'm like, hey, here's how to launch a $5 ad, and you watch 25% of it, and you're like, okay, this Laurel isn't full of shit, but you still don't do anything. And then you see my ad on YouTube, and then you see another ad, and you're not doing anything. You're just seeing my face over and over and over again. And then 2 months later, I do a video with Daryl as a case study saying, hey, we launched this $5 ad. We booked a call. He closed the $5,000 client. And you're like, oh shit, I want what Daryl has. I'm going to buy the $7 program. Let me ask you the question. Which of those ads worked? They all did. They all work together. And so that's why I always tell people, just let your ads ecosystem run, because over time, it is going to become more reliable. It's going to become more consistent. But a lot of people turn things on. They turn things off. They turn that, to me, this is my macro belief when it comes to running advertising, is that I believe that most people lose money on ads because they're turning things on and off and never give Facebook enough time to optimize. That's honestly why most people lose money. And so that's why I always tell my students, like, just chill. And by the way, on Friday, Jared sent me a Voxer and said, you were right. I just closed my first $3,000 client on the hot 7. I was like, I told you, just let it run, right? So we have to play the long game. Okay. That's why I always say, trust the process, play the long game. A lot of you guys who are sitting in this room right now, if you would have launched a couple of ads and just let them run over the last several months, over the last several years, you would be in a better position than you are right now. Honest to God. Like, a lot of this has a lot to do with just consistency. A lot of you guys are sitting in this room right now because I just stalked you the longest out of everyone else. Honestly, I'm not the best at doing ads. I just stay in front of my audience the longest. Okay. So campaign number 1 is going to be power content. This is going to build trust and it's going to warm up your audience. Remember, that's going to be the campaign that's going to build our invisible list. And then campaign number 2 is going to be some type of funnel. Okay. Because we need to be able to generate physical leads in some type of way. Remember, campaign number 1 and campaign number 2 are the ones that are going to be ran to cold traffic. Campaign number 3 is actually a strategy that a lot of people tell you not to do, but we're going to utilize boosted posts in a slightly different way. We're going to use it to nurture your warm audience. Campaign number 4 is what I call a fast funnel. The reason that I call it a fast funnel is it's because it's a quick and dirty funnel made up of a single post, whether that's a Reels video or a static image 2-step. That literally just gets people into a messenger conversation. I love calling it the fast funnel because it's the fastest and cheapest funnel there ever was. And then campaign number 5 is going to be the hot 7 sequence. Okay. Now, some of you guys are going to be launching some of these in a different order. Some of you guys are not going to launch 1 or 2 of these campaigns at all. And so let's actually dig into what this actually looks like if we start to implement it. Okay. So again, just kind of a quick review. Remember, my ecosystem is built around a funnel. It does not replace a funnel. Okay. So campaign number 1 is going to be made up of Goodwill video ads. Campaign number 2 is going to be made up of some type of funnel strategy to generate leads. And just a reminder, campaign number 1 is going to build an invisible list. And campaign number 2 is going to build a physical list. Okay. Now, the 25% viewers of campaign number 1 and the clicks from campaign number 2 are going to make up your retargeting audience, along with the people who've been engaging with your content, visiting your website. And then what we're going to do is we're going to launch campaign number 3, which is boosted content. Every time that I do a piece of content, I am boosting it not only on my business page, but I'm also boosting it on my Instagram page. I'm boosting it on my Facebook profile because you can do that now. And so I also do it on YouTube. Anytime I release a new video, and this is all in the $7 program, guys. Like every single how to do all of this is all in the $7 program. So campaign number 3, we're going to be doing boosted content. Campaign number 4, we're going to intercept those leads. This is why I love campaign number 4. My entire ads ecosystem, the reason that it gets the highest return on ad spend than anything I've ever seen any other marketer do is because we're intercepting leads. I'll give you an example. So I have a client, she runs a webinar funnel and she's in the infertility space. And what we found was when we were running traffic to her webinar, she was getting the same amount of leads every single week. She was still getting 1,000 leads every single week who are opting into her webinar, but she's like, I'm not booking any calls. Do you think that ads were her issue? If she was still getting the same amount of leads every week? No. What was the issue? People weren't hitting play on her webinar. They just stopped watching it altogether. So what I had her do was I had her break her webinar. Well, I didn't have her do it. I had her assistant do it. And I said, break up your webinar into the 3 secrets. So her webinar was about 3 secrets to getting pregnant. And I said, break up each secret into an easy to read Google Doc. Don't even go fancy with a PDF. I said, just do a Google Doc. Because what do we know about the people who became a lead in that webinar? What do we know about them? They were interested in the topic, but maybe they didn't have time to watch a webinar, right? They were opting in for the information. They just weren't consuming the information. So I was like, well, let's give them the information in a slightly different way. Let's have her put it onto a Google Doc. And so then what I had her do was I had her grab her smartphone and I said, hey, just shoot a quick Reels video talking about, are you still, most women who struggle with getting pregnant are missing this. Do you want this? Drop a line below this video and I'll send it to you. And I put $5 on that ad and I ran it to all of the people who had opted into her webinar funnel. Over a single weekend, we spent $6 in ads. She had booked over 200 triage calls with a freaking $6 ad. That is why I love this little thing called the fast funnel. But you saw how quick and dirty that was. I was like, Google document. I said, promote it with a Reels video and then get your VA to have messenger conversations and set them to a call. That's why I call it a fast funnel. You don't have to build anything except the ad and just go do it. Fast and dirty, right? Go ugly fast is what one of my students always says. And then of course we've got campaign number 5, the Hot 7 conversion sequence. That was actually built for phase 2 and phase 3, but I have students who are running it to their phase 1 traffic as well. So again, this strategy is fluid. And that's why I give you guys access to these coaching calls and I give you guys access to the Ask Laurel thread, because this ecosystem is very fluid in the way that you could actually run it. Okay. So phase 1, this is what your ecosystem looks like. Okay. You're going to be running power content, which is campaign number 1. You're going to be running campaign number 2. I call those Reels videos that I was just talking about that promote that free thing. I call it a conversion multiplier. And I think now you know why I call it a conversion multiplier, because it gets conversions a lot. Okay. 200 booked calls with $6 in ad spend. It's freaking nuts. Okay. So for you, you're going to be generating leads through messenger conversations in phase 1. Okay. Now, don't worry about if you're in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 right now. We're going to actually go through who should be in phase 1, who should be in phase 2, and who should be in phase 3. Right now, I just need you to understand that campaign number 1, you're going to be generating your leads with the invisible list through power content. Campaign number 2, you're going to be generating a physical lead list with conversion multipliers that are going to get messenger conversations. And then you're going to be boosting post. Like I said, I pretty much live in phase 1 most of the time. So if you think that phase 1 is just for beginners, think again, especially for people who have call setters in place. They execute phase 1 for the volume. And we're going to talk a little bit more about volume. So this is what phase 1 looks like, utilizing a quote fast funnel. Phase 2 is going to utilize a power funnel. Now, the only reason why I call it a power funnel is because we're literally using something that Joel Irway coined a power offer, and we're sending people straight to an application, or we're sending people straight to a sales page, okay, in campaign number 2. So that's the only difference. We're going to move the conversion multipliers, the Reels videos, we're going to move that to only go to warm traffic, and we're going to generate physical leads top of funnel through a power funnel. That's literally just going to be an ad straight to whatever action, whether that's an application or whether that is a low ticket offer. And don't worry, inside the program, I have high ticket offer validation and low ticket offer validation. And I'll actually walk you guys through the platform so that you guys can actually see where to get the information for all of this stuff that we're talking about today. Okay. So that's phase 2. Phase 3, campaign number 2 is going to become an entire funnel, whether that's a VSL funnel, whether that's a slow funnel, whether that's an ebook funnel. Just know that campaign number 2 is going to become an entire funnel. And yes, this does apply to e-commerce. Campaign number 2 is going to be your e-commerce funnel. And then we're going to add in that hot 7 retargeting sequence. Okay. So this is what, that's just the phases of the ecosystem right there, right? So if we go back to phase 1, campaign number 1, power content, going to build that invisible list. Campaign number 2, we're going to build a physical list by running ads to get messenger conversations. And then we're going to run people who are engaging with both. We're going to boost post. Okay. Now here's the thing. If we go to phase 3 and we look at that hot 7 retargeting sequence, where do you think I get most of that conversion sequence from? The stuff that we're boosting and the stuff that's working. Cool. Then I just have them dump their 7 best posts from phase 1 and we build the hot 7. Now, can you build the hot 7 from scratch? Abso-freaking-lutely. But the way that my students like to do it is they just take their best boosted posts from every 90-day period and they turn that into the hot 7 and they run it as a conversion campaign for $2 a day. Okay, so which funnel should you use? Okay. Now, this is a question that sort of triggers people because a lot of people are like, I just spent $10,000 on a coach that built me a webinar funnel. I just spent $3,000 to learn how to build a low ticket offer. I just built a course. I just spent 6 months of a course. And you're telling me that that might not be the right thing for me, right? So how do we determine which of these we should do? Well, on the triangle, you're going to see that at the bottom, it says most volume. If you need to validate an offer, meaning you have no idea if people want your offer, hell, you might not even know what to offer, right? If I think about whenever I first started my business back in April of 2018, my business is going to turn 6 years. Well, it turned 6 years today, this year. I needed the most volume of conversations because I didn't know what people wanted. And so at the bottom of the triangle is I need the most volume of conversations to freaking figure out what does my audience want from me, right? And so when you need the most volume, what we're going to do is we're going to give away a freebie. And I call it an indirect offer. As a matter of fact, I don't call it an indirect offer. The market calls it an indirect offer. This just simply means that it's just a freebie, like a free ebook. It's something like this. But the reason that I call it a value bomb is because I don't put it behind a gate, meaning I don't make people opt in for it. I don't make people pay for it. I want to have the conversation. You know, at my last event in Phoenix, people were like, but Laurel, I need to collect the lead. I need to get their email address. Let me ask you guys the question. If you had the choice to get a messenger conversation with your ideal client or an email address, which would you choose? Very simple question, right? Which would you choose and why? Me, myself, and I would not even bother with an email address. If I'm already having a messenger conversation with an ideal client and we're optimizing to get conversations or a booked call, why would I send them to an email sequence that is passive? If I have a lead that's right there, that's someone I can help, right? I think it's so funny how people are obsessed. Now, I know what you guys just heard me say. And now you're thinking, oh, Laurel hates email. Laurel doesn't do email. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying when you need a volume of conversations because you're trying to figure out what I should offer people, or do people even want my offer? Do you think sending people to an email sequence is going to solve those problems? No. You don't even know what to offer them. You don't even know if they want it. So how would an email sequence be of help to them or help of you, right? And so when you need the most volume of conversations, that's where I tell people to start. And that's phase one. We're building the entire ecosystem to get conversations. Now, once you're in phase one and you're having like 100 messenger conversations a week, what are you going to have figured out? What are you going to have figured out after having 100 messenger conversations a week? Holy shit, I know what my audience wants and I know how to have the conversation to sell it, right? So now what we need to do is, well, I don't want to have 100 messenger conversations a week. That's a lot of time. By the way, inside baseball, I probably have about 200 conversations a week in Messenger, but you know, I get it. But if you're having 100 messenger conversations a week, you probably have formulated what your audience wants and what they're willing to pay for, right? And so all we're going to do is in campaign number 2, we're just going to add a little bit of friction. So now instead of people getting an instant conversation with you, we're going to make them spend time on your calendar. We're going to make them wait to have that phone conversation, right? So we're just going to add a little bit of friction. And so then we're going to move the messenger conversation down to the middle of funnel. And because we don't ever want to stop having messenger conversations. But what this is actually going to do is when we move the messenger conversation and only have conversations with people who are warm, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get less people who ghost you. You're going to have higher quality conversations, and you're going to have conversations with people who are starting to know you and trust you. By the way, if you are having messenger conversations and you're still doing that with cold traffic, it is absolutely normal for only 40% of people to actually respond in messenger because they're cold. They don't know you. They don't like you. So that's normal, but that's the work that needs to be done. We keep having to put stuff in front of them until we can get those conversations. Now, we're going to push volume, right? Because now we're not making people opt in for anything. We're not making them watch a VSL to get to the application. They're simply seeing the ad and applying to talk to you. Now, once you have 5 or 10 booked calls every single day, you're like, Laurel, oh my God, I am talking to so many people who are not qualified for my offer. But what have you also developed? You've developed your sales process. You've developed your confidence on those sales calls. You have gotten a ton of practice. So now we can add a little bit more friction, and now we can go add to VSL to application. Okay. Because here's what happens. A lot of times people go straight for a VSL with an unvalidated offer. If you're running ads to an unvalidated offer through a VSL, think about how much money and how much time you're going to have to spend trying to figure out what went wrong in that VSL. But what do you think will happen if you've had the conversations, if you've had the phone calls, and then you build a VSL? You validated your offer. You validated that people want it. You already know, you've already perfected your sales conversation. So what do you think happens? Ads become an accelerant versus an expense for your business. And then what is the holy grail of marketing? Is low ticket offer. Add to a low ticket offer to an upsell. That is the most complicated funnel. It is the most expensive funnel to run. That is why when people come into the program and they've never sold anything before and they're like, well, I have a low ticket offer. I'm like, have you validated that offer yet? You do not want to validate it through a slow funnel. I guarantee it. It costs a lot of money because why? If let's say you have a $27 offer, and by the way, inside the program, I actually do the math on a slow funnel. So make sure you watch that. You have to have a hell of a lot of volume. If you are spending $60 to acquire a $27 customer, you're likely going to run out of money before you have enough volume that's pushed to the upsell. That's what happens to most people. And that's why most slow funnels fail, is because people don't have enough money to be able to push enough volume to the back of the funnel so that they can actually make money on these things. Same thing with a VSL. You need volume. Let me ask you a question. And if you've already heard me ask this, don't answer. How many clicks do you think on a traditional VSL funnel? How many clicks does it take for one person to see your offer at the end of a VSL funnel? See your offer, not buy your offer. How many clicks do you think it takes for people to see your offer at the end of a traditional VSL? Rebecca's cutting it a little high with 1,000, but I have seen that before. It takes 250 clicks for one person on average to see your offer in a VSL funnel. Now, if you are paying $2 a click, and by the way, that's super cheap. If you're paying $2 a click, that is, you're paying Facebook $500 for one person to see your offer. Think about what $500 could do if you ran an indirect offer to Messenger in phase 1. You can guarantee that everyone who clicks sees your offer. So this is why we have to go through the process, right? And if you need help troubleshooting this inside the program, I have everything that you need. If you're not getting conversations, there's a little resource at the bottom that tells you why and what could be the issue. So make sure you're going through all of the troubleshooting and optimization training as well. And I'm going to show you exactly where that is here in a minute. So again, let's just kind of recap, right? My ecosystem is built around a funnel, whether that is a fast funnel, which is the quick and dirty funnel, conversion multiplier, or whether it's a power offer straight to an application, or a power offer straight to a checkout page, or in phase 3, a slow funnel, a VSL funnel, an ebook funnel, right? So now you know that my entire ecosystem is built around this, okay? Now, as I was telling you guys before, when Daryl came to me and Lean on Laurel, when Jared came to me and Lean on Laurel, they were already sending traffic to their funnel. And so that's why I started them with the hot 7 and we work our way backwards. And so when people come to me and they're already running some type of direct response funnel, I start them in phase 3 and then we work our way back. So we start with the hot 7. I get them into the fast funnel. We do the boosted post and then we do power content last. But if someone comes to me and they don't have traffic, we're going to start in phase 1. We're going to get them started on building their invisible list. We're going to get them started on having messenger conversations. And then we're going to start testing content through boosted posts. And that is the entire ecosystem at a glance. Wow, we are right on the dot at 9 o'clock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up. I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourself. And I'm going to enjoy this cold coffee. And I have a couple of minutes if you guys want to ask any questions about what we talked about. How many of you guys had a light bulb moment? Here, let me ask you guys this. Who wants to share a light bulb moment that they got from this training that they hadn't got from my ecosystem before? Not only helpful for everyone, but also helpful for me, because I'm always trying to perfect the way that I present this information. Does anyone want to share their light bulb moment that they got from this training that they hadn't caught before? Mike. Oh, for some reason, your volume is not on. I see you're unmuted, but for some reason, we can't hear you.
Is it better now?
There we go.
Okay. So the big aha moment that I got is that there's always this concept that people, before they make a buying decision, need like at least 5 to 7 touch points or even more. And what you're doing is you're front loading all those touch points. You're nurturing them before they even have to provide an email. So you remove all the possible friction to create that know you, like you, and trust you before they even interact with you. So you really flip the model on the side. Other people is like, give me your email, creates friction, you lose a lot of people, and then I'll nurture you. So the beauty of your system is you flip things, and I can see why it works and why you get so much. There's no black hole at the beginning of your ecosystem. So that's my takeaway.
I love that. And, it's really important that he said, 6 or 7 exposures. It's more like now 6 to 7 hours of consummation and 62 to 67 days of sales process before someone makes a decision, even for a low ticket offer. That is, according to Wicked Reporting, 62 to 67 days of sales process. That's so much longer than it was just even a year ago. And, to Mike's point, I like to call it, and for those of you guys who haven't watched my power content workshop yet, I like to call it a conveyor belt, right? Because if you think about the two campaigns, campaign number 1 and campaign number 2, campaign number 2, which is the funnel, whether it's a fast funnel or whether it's a VSL funnel or a power funnel, those are built for the 2 to 3% of people who are ready to make a buying decision right now. Campaign number 1, where you're building the invisible list, that's going to create a conveyor belt of people who are in the 97 to 98% who are still trying to make a decision. And so if you run my ecosystem consistently, it's going to deliver a conveyor belt of people ready to buy once you have that conveyor belt full of content. Think about that. Sabrina.
Hello. Laurel, I just wanted to say that was brilliant. So I have a background in digital advertising and I started my agency just a few months ago. But working in digital advertising, there's a lot of skills I can transfer. But I think with all the months of research I've done, you're the only person that really breaks down the funnels and how it looks on the back end and saying, well, actually, no, don't follow the gurus because that's what I was doing. And the way that you've broken it down and made me see that actually everyone's doing this, but if you're doing the stuff that not a lot of people are doing, then you'll see the result. Had absolutely no idea that was the back end concept. So I'm here learning, not just for me, but for stuff that I can implement for clients, because obviously I'm just doing what all the other gurus have said. So this is a game changer for me. I'm super excited about it. I don't usually do videos. And I was like, I don't even know where to start with this. When I got into your program, it's all laid out. Just literally follow it like 1, 2, 3, and don't skip. I tried to do the skipping. I didn't get it. So I went back to the beginning and was like, right, do as Laurel said. So yeah, I'm really
Yep.
excited about this.
Oh my God, that made my day. Thank you. Like I like as you were talking, it brought a big smile to my face. And what I want you guys to understand is Sean's been with me for a long time. Dr. Lizette, do you guys see how I never stop innovating the way that I teach what I do? It's taken me 6 years to get it this good. Like 6 years. And so like if you're like, oh, I've been at this for 3 months, I've been at this for 4 months, like it takes time and iteration. But I want to drive this home is that this is after having thousands of conversations with you guys telling me what's confusing. This is after thousands of conversations saying, Laurel, I don't understand why this is it. I've spent so much time with you, and I cannot stress how important it is for you guys to spend time with the people that you're trying to sell to so that you know exactly what they want and what they need, because what you guys wanted and need has changed dramatically over the last 6 years because of the marketing landscape changing. And there's one thing that I want to do, and then we'll get back to the questions, is I just kind of want to walk you guys through. So if we go into the phase 1 ecosystem, this has everything that you guys need in order to actually implement this. And so if you just go through all of the trainings, it will show you what are the KPIs? How do you optimize this? What if you only have a $500 a month budget? What do I look at in Ads Manager? Everything is here. So that's phase 1, right? And then phase 2, look, I've got your high ticket versus low ticket. If you guys have a question about what should I do which, or which one do I need? We've got the low ticket offer validation. So this is phase 2, right? Whenever we're trying to create just a little bit of friction, high ticket offer validation, everything that you guys need. Here's the KPIs. My mentor, Nick Peterson, who I mentioned a while ago, he has an amazing sales call framework that he calls CASE. I put that in there. Phase 3, launching a funnel. Like, look at this, the ebook funnel, challenge funnel, webinar funnel, slow funnel. And remember how I told you guys, watch these videos because I actually do the profit projections of like what it actually costs to get people through the funnel. And this is in every single one of these trainings. You will actually see what the numbers actually look like before you launch, so that you don't have to take my word for it. You can literally do the math, because math doesn't lie, right? And then if you go into the library, I have laid this entire thing out on how I do this on YouTube. So it's not just here's how to do it on Facebook, but here's how to do it on YouTube. But you have to make sure that you're going through the training, how to close messenger conversations. Look at this, my messenger SOP. I've laid it all out here. If people aren't asking for your value bombs, look, I've got all of the resources that you guys need. No one asking for your value bombs. Here's a spreadsheet. Everything that you guys need, including like if you go into the library section, frequently asked questions. You know, how does the book fit? So by the way, if you guys have my book, how many of you guys have my book? And I'm not saying you have to get it, but if you have my book, okay, my book, I love how everyone just grabbed their book. It was that close to you guys. I love that. If you read my book, it's phase 1, right? That's why there's no mention of a funnel or anything in phase in the book, because my book is written and based upon phase 1. But yeah, there's all of these frequently asked questions. I think a lot of you guys like 3 reasons no one's asking for your value bomb, how to have a conversation on YouTube, not having 100 conversations this week, watch this, how to get clients without messenger conversations if you don't like the messenger conversation. So there's a lot of things that I've put in this program that I think a lot of you guys are missing. Just make sure that you're just kind of going through, you know, here's the step-by-step of everything. You guys want to see a little bonus of what I've put together for you guys. And then I will, but check this out. And this is by request. This has been a long time coming. I actually created, and this will be listed underneath this video, a Google document that literally lays out my entire ads ecosystem from start to finish, with all the scripts that you need in order to do this, all of the Loom videos and everything. So even if you're not following the program, if you follow this Google document, that's probably about, let's see, it is 23 pages long, so that if there's something that you missed in a video, you can always just grab that handy dandy Google document and use it as a quick resource. And so I'm going to actually put that Google document, if you're watching it on the replay, it's underneath this video right now, but I'm going to put it underneath the ecosystem video. And so for those of you guys who are on this call right now, I am going to replace this ecosystem video here with the one that that I just did. So it's going to be in the Get Ready protocol section. Cool. Now, anyone have any questions? I know Samson has their hand up. I'll take 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll wrap up, because I know I've kept you guys a little long today. Samson.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Just something I missed. The fast funnel. I didn't quite get that bit.
Yep. What did you not get about it?
Why you call it fast funnel?
Because it works super fast. You don't have to build it. It's just a simple Reels video or a static image ad, and it goes straight to Messenger conversation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, if you go into phase 1 and you run the conversion multiplier, that's what a fast funnel is. Super easy to execute. Mike.
Whenever you run those campaigns that have people book a call with you, the call that they book, is it just a triage call, like a 15-minute intro call, or can you just have them book like the 60-minute full call where you would guide them through the whole process to enroll?
You could do either. Whichever fits with your sales process is what you should do.
But okay, so there's nothing that prevents people from signing up from a 1-hour full call if that's what works for you.
Your data matters more than what my answer will be for you.
Thank you.
I would test both. Yeah, because most of the time you don't actually need. So I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. if you run my ads ecosystem over time, your 15-minute triage calls will just be a 15-minute enrollment call.
Mhm.
Because by the time people get on the phone, like I have people, as a matter of fact, Daryl was one of them. And Daryl, again, if you're still here, he can confirm. He literally hit me up in Instagram and said, "Where's your link to join Lean on Laurel?" I had never talked to Daryl before. I had never, like, he was like literally, and I was like, well, there's an application process. He went through the application process and I sent him a link to join, and that was it. But that's the power of the ecosystem. Like, people see it. And that's why it's really important that you don't only do those short form videos. Like, you have to do long form content. Like, one of the questions I had from this week's Lean on Laurel workshop for the Hot 7, students were like, well, how long should those Hot 7 videos be? I was like, some of mine are like 45 minutes for the $7 program. And they're like, what? And I'm like, dude, people have a lot of objections. And so, like, one of my Hot 7 videos is literally one of these calls, because people are like, there's no way that there's that much value in a $7 program. And so I wrote in the ad, skeptical that there's not a lot of value, check out this 45-minute coaching call that I did where every student got their question answered. And I just let the entire like workshop Zoom call play as the ad. And so I think people, you guys don't realize how much content you actually have. Like, I had a student who was like, hey, I have a call booked, but from the application, this person doesn't really look qualified. She's like, should I take it? I'm like, absolutely. I was like, take it, provide value. And then once you're off the Zoom call, go and do a video about the value that you just provided. That content will be something that you can leverage far more than the time that you just spent with that person. And so anytime someone asks me a question in Messenger, like a while ago, I told you guys, I still have like 200 conversations a week with people. Anytime I'm having conversations with people, I am turning around and shooting a video or doing a Google document or a value bomb. I'm always leveraging my time that I spend with people, always. And I'm turning it into content. Sabrina says, your ad was the only webinar I watched in a funnel. I got hooked, then bought the program right after. Awesome. I love that. Gwen.
Yes, so thank you so much. I don't really have a question, but I'm an academic, I'm a neuroscientist, and honestly, I've been looking for ways to market whatever I do, but you're the first one who has a step-by-step process and who doesn't presupposes that I, as a very dusty old academic, can suddenly knock out copy or anything like that. So I'm really, really grateful for everything you're doing.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And, you know, one of the things that I will never do, as a matter of fact, I had a Lean on Laurel student tell me that she was afraid that when she came into Lean on Laurel, she was like, hey, thank you for not making me start from scratch, because she had something that was working. It just wasn't working really well. And I think the most dangerous thing that I can do for anyone, whether you guys are in this program, on this call, or whether you're in Lean on Laurel, the most dangerous thing that I can do is, without having any context, make you do something just because it's my strategy, right? I will always tweak what you guys are already doing and find what's already working and add on to it. Like, notice in today's training, I didn't say you should do this type of funnel. You should, like, I want to present all of the information and then educate you guys enough to where you can make that decision for yourself. So thank you. Thank you guys. Well, hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this. If you guys have any questions at all, throw it in the Ask Laurel thread. And thank you guys for spending your morning with me. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And yeah, the replay will be up shortly, and I will link you guys to that Google document that I just showed you guys as well. And I will do a push for this, not because it's out or anything yet, but my next book is called Kiss My ROAS, and it literally outlines this entire strategy with more context. So if you liked my first book, you might like the second book that I'm about to release, and I got you guys all to thank for it because you guys helped me write it. So thank you guys for always giving me awesome feedback, critical feedback. It's all appreciated. And I love every single one of you guys. You guys have an amazing week, and I'll see you guys in the group.